Yeah, we've got to talk about the Rugby Sevens team, the Shujaa. They were really, whipped down under in Sydney Sevens. We went there with very high hopes after the Hamilton showing, but then we were whacked down under. Well, we now shift gears to Sports Chat this morning. And as usual, we start with the news-making headlines, and then we go to our discussion segment. And today I've come with my colleague, that is Rogers Htemi. He will be able to help us discuss and understand some of the issues that are also happening or taking place over this week. But then, as I said, we have to start with the news-making headlines, and we begin with the tennis because Novak Djokovic had the Australian Open trophy in his hands for the 8th time, and his thoughts turned to Kobe Bryant, the Los Angeles Lakers great. His daughter Gianna and 7 others died in a helicopter crash in Los Angeles the weekend before Djokovic's win over Dominic Thiem in the championship match at Melbourne Park. Wearing a green jacket with the letters KB and the numbers 8 and 24 emblazoned on the chest, Djokovic reflected on some of the devastating things that started the year 2020. We want to wish Djokovic, to enjoy that title that he won at the Australia Sevens. And Htemi, you must have followed a bit of that tennis. But of course, the fact that he paid tribute to Kobe Bryant. Everybody is still shattered with the death of Kobe Bryant. It's still reverberating.
Definitely, because Kobe will remain a legend, and it is a sad month. It was a sad month for the sporting fraternity across the globe. But getting such tribute from also other flourishing sportsmen, it means a lot to the basketball fraternity as well as Kobe's family.
We just hope that they'll find the energy to deal with that loss, and thanks to Djokovic for paying tribute. But now let's turn to Rugby Sevens, where Kenya Shujaa finished last at the Sydney Sevens in Australia over the weekend. The team's worst performance since 2018-2019 season at the London tournament, having shown great promise with an 8th place finish at the Hamilton Sevens just a week before. The quick dip in form during the 2-day event at the Bankwell Stadium left a lot to be desired, while the losses to All Blacks and Fiji didn't come as a surprise, going by Kenya's head-to-head record against the two sides. It was the 26-21 defeat to struggling Wales in their second match of the preliminaries that left a bad taste in the mouth of Shujaa faithful. Rogers, you must have followed the IRB Sevens in Sydney. And in today's Standard newspaper, if you look at the back page, we had, I think, a very good story today that what went wrong for the Kenyan IRB series in Sydney. You watched the matches. What went wrong?
It's really saddening to skin, because looking at the performance we had in Hamilton, though we were in a difficult group, definitely, but the way we handled ourselves on the pitch, there were a lot of errors, that is basic errors, ball handling, and then a lot of indiscipline, because we also, in addition to that, also we are not able to hold on to leads in most of our matches. I don't know why. That is something that the head coach Finney should work on, because after leading, more so against Wales, Wales is actually at the bottom of the table, yeah? We threw away the lead 21-12 and then ended up losing that match. That was maybe due to the fact that we had to lose 2 players at some point of the game, that is Olinde and Ayo, due to they were sent to the sin bin due to some infringements. But that actually gave the Welsh girls a chance to come back into the game and definitely win it. And you also find that even in the last ranking match, we lost again to Samoa. That tells a lot about the Kenyan team. This is not the performance we expected, more so from the performance we saw in Hamilton. So it's up to us now to go back to the drawing board and ask ourselves, what are we going to do in Los Angeles? We have enough time right now until end month, because Los Angeles will come between 28th to 3rd or so in March. So it is time for us to prepare our house again, prepare well, and look forward to better performance in US.
That picture there saying it all, that is William Barker being consoled by the Wales player. But really, you are talking about us, finding a way of coming back. And if you watch those games, Rugby 7 is a very intense game. But we looked like we were lost, mentally. And do you think 1 month is enough for us, to get ourselves to our footing?
That is enough period for any player at least to go sit back and reflect on the performance they had, looking forward to the performance in future. Because we'll also need a lot of team talk from the head coach and also the technical bench members, at least to talk to the players and tell them, guys, the past is now behind us. Let's focus on what is coming, and we are still into this because we still have 6 legs to go. So anything is possible within this time. And having garnered already 26 points in the last 4 legs or so, we still have more time for us to keep on moving and pushing so that we can be in a better position at the end of the season. But we have the talent, we have the possibilities, we have the energies. Now it's up to these players. Let them just play for the flag as well.
But you talked about ball handling errors. Can that be corrected in a short while, Shtemi?
But Toskin, actually that has been one of the worst, or rather a very big headache for the Kenyan team, ball handling. It has been our biggest problem for the longest time.
But then what should the coaches do, especially in the local, sevens, Kenya Sevens?
It's all about the structures, Toskin. If this thing is not being done at the lower, when you are still young, it's so difficult for you to get these skills when you're already a grown up. So it's all about the grassroots. We need to go back to start this game from the lower route, so that when we start with the young boys, they are able to know how to handle this ball. It's just like football, volleyball, so to say. All these things you have to start to get the skills when you're still young, so that as you grow, already you know how these things are being done. But when we wait and you want these players maybe to do so at the biggest stage, it is just a fumble.
But Rogers, we won the Singapore Sevens at some point. That was, I think, 2015. Why then? Why is it taking us so long, to get to the top of the game?
And Toskin, you should also be aware that there have been change of players. Players come go. Well, we haven't maintained the same structure since then, because we have all along been seeing, even the coaches, same to it. The coaches have been shifted left, right, and center. And these players are not able to be maintained throughout. There are those who are being introduced into the system. Yes, it's good for the game because this is the future of the game. But there are those who also deserve to be there so that they can keep this transition going, and also to enable the young players to know what is expected. A lot was expected after the Singapore trip, but we went back and maybe sat on our laurels. That is something that has been affecting us. We actually may be thinking that we were the champion in Singapore. Things will continue coming on a silver platter. It can't work like that. We just need also to continue improving, because the game keep on improving. This technology, it is the modern game. So if you keep on basing on the past, there's no way you'll achieve anything in the current situation.
We just hope that the technical director, that's Finney, will be looking at the performance of that team, especially in Sydney. We know that the team has got the kind of talent that they can come back and really perform at the top level. Now, let's move to football, where Harambee Stars winger Ayub Timbe Masika completed his loan move to English Championship team Reading from Chinese side Vijay Rene on Saturday, and instantly earned the praise of manager Mark Bowen. The 27-year-old winger had been training with the former EPL side for the past few weeks, and his speed and ball skills won over the manager. How big was the signing of Ayub Timbe at Reading?
That was one of the greatest news for the Kenyans in the transfer window, because looking at how things are for Victor Wanyama at Spurs, there's nothing to smile about. But with seeing this youngster Timbe going to England tells you a lot about the talent we have here back home. So I think you remember Timbe also. He was influential in helping Rennes to get promotion to the Chinese top-tier league. And unfortunately, they were relegated last season. So maybe, and you understand, the honor of Rennes is also the honor of Reading. So actually, maybe for him, he has thought that this is the best moment. Maybe this guy is so talented. Let us cross him over to England. He can maybe help this team in future to get promotion. Maybe this 6-month loan, it is a testing moment for Timbe. If he proves himself, who knows? Maybe he can cross over to another English team, or he can get a permanent deal at Reading. So I have a lot of trust in Timbe because he's a very humble player, and he knows what he can do on pitch. Yeah.
Looking at what the coach said, Mark Bowen, he said that he was impressed by his ball handling skills. He also impressed by his speed. But then in terms of physique, does he have the kind of physical presence that can suit the English game?
No, not really, but looking at his skills and the pace, yeah, that is his advantage. And, even look at the physique of Messi. Messi is not that way strong or heavy, or rather is not that way big, but he has something unique that makes the difference, and that is what keeps him pushing. So the same thing Timbe has. Timbe is too quick, and he has the ability to dribble that ball and as well hold it. So that is the advantage and the ability that he's going to use to torment his opponents. And I believe that is why the coach has already started praising him, because, in the English game, if you're pacey, the defenders will be in a very tough situation. Yeah.
He has not been very lucky with injuries also, because remember when he was in Belgium, went to China, he still had injuries. He hasn't really hit the heights that Kenyans would really expect of him with the Harambee Stars, just because of those injuries. Do you think he will be lucky enough?
Let's hope so. Let's hope so, because he's one of the players that injuries have really slowed down his progress. Because looking at where he came from, once he was at Ligue Ndogo, went to Belgium, then crossing over to China, yeah, he has shown that he has a lot of potential. But you remember also prior to AFCON, he also suffered another injury. So it is a situation that makes him so he's actually injury prone. But he pray and hope he is going to overcome this and maybe show the world what Kenya can do.
That is Ayub Timbe Masika, who was just joined Reading, a former English Premier League side. They're actually in the championship, and I don't know if they will be promoted next season, but I can see the chances of Reading being promoted are pretty slim. But then the Harambee Stars captain Victor Wanyama is in trouble with reports emerging that Premier League side Tottenham Hotspur want to terminate his contract. According to The Sun, that is the English newspaper, Spurs manager Jose Mourinho wanted to offload Wanyama in the just ended January transfer window, but interested clubs were put off by his salary demands. Reports also indicate that things could go south for the Kenyan, because the North London club could now terminate his contract. That's not very good news, Eshtemi.
Exactly. That's why I said maybe with Timbe joining the English side, that's good news for Kenya. But on the other side, it is a sad situation whereby Wanyama's future is uncertainty, and we don't know what will happen. Even Mourinho himself was heard saying that he's not sure about giving the playing time. So it is up to Wanyama now to prove himself in training. And you remember he has only made like 6 appearances in all competition this season. That tells you a lot that Mourinho doesn't have trust in Wanyama, because he has a lot of options.
Of course, we saw they signed Tanguy Ndombele from France. They have Harry Winks. They have Musa
Sissoko, who has been converted into that position. So,
do you think Victor Wanyama has what it takes to compete for that position?
You have also to take in his fitness levels. He's just like Timbe, he's injury prone. He has been struggling with injuries in most cases. So it's really, really difficult for him. It's going to be difficult unless a miracle happens for him to get a breakthrough into that squad. So maybe, I know the salary demands were very high, but maybe him personally who could have pushed that deal, that move out of Spurs. But I doubt if he did so. Yeah, he was so maybe comfortable and waiting. Maybe teams will just come for him.
Chinese clubs have been, flaunting money here and there. Do you think if he gets a deal to go to China, he should?
Why not? This is the time. This is the time. His career is at the sunset, so it's time for him to go out and make more money in China. Yeah. Because looking at the English Premier League right now, I doubt if maybe at Spurs he'll get the playing time, unless if he should try to switch to another team, which already the window is closed. So that we mean in August. Yeah. So it's going to be difficult for him. Maybe let's wait and see. Who knows? Anything can happen between now and August.
There was also, transfer movement, especially in the local league, where in the Kenya Premier League there was less cash flow in the just concluded January transfer window, as the harsh economy continues to bite the Kenyan football industry. Though most of the clubs led by record Kenyan Premier League champions Gor Mahia, AFC Leopards and Nzoia Sugar opted to go for either youngsters or renewed contracts for their existing players, the likes of struggling Wazito went for experience. AFC Leopards lost John Makwata to Zambian side Zesco United, while Edwin Lavasas returned to Gor Mahia and Paul Kiongera's moved to Wazito FC from Scotland's Killarney Athletic were some of the highlights of mid-season. Eshtemi. Big news, Paul Kiongera returning to the Kenyan Premier League. You laugh. He's a journeyman. I saw your story. You said you described him as a journeyman. Now he's back at Wazito.
With no doubt, he's a journeyman, and he's one of the players who have actually failed to reach their potential. Looking him while playing at Kenyatta University some time back before joining KCB, you could tell this is a big gem. But unfortunately, just like the other players I've mentioned, that is Onyama and Timbe, his progress has been slowed down by injuries.
Yes.
He's injury prone, and that can't give him the confidence to maybe to try and fulfill what many people expect from him. So him coming back to Kenyan Premier League is good news for his fans, but it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. Remember, he has signed for Wazito. Wazito right now is one of the most demanding clubs in Kenyan Premier League. So if you don't perform at Wazito, definitely your career is dead. You see the likes, actually not.
But Wazito are not performing as such. Therefore, should anyone expect a lot anyway from Kiongera?
Definitely yes. He's a mega, now in Wazito is like just a mega signing, because what people look at when you look at his past, we see his potential. We definitely believe that this guy can at least lift Wazito from where they are. And maybe, right now they're like they're just fluttering with relegation, Wazito, so to say. So he can at least lift in them, and maybe they can remain in the league in the coming season. And also now, him coming in and the likes of Elvis Rupia moving out tells a lot about what Wazito wants. And interestingly, now Elvis Rupia has moved to FC and he scores on his debut. That tells you a lot.
Was that a good buy for FC Leopards, now that they lost John Makwata to Zesco?
It was a gamble, but it's paying off. Why am I saying this?
No, it's only the first game.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it is first game.
Rupia has just scored one in the first
against
game.
Which team?
Yeah. Against Ulinzi Stars,
the team that has not lost their last, I think 15 matches or so. Yeah. They're unbeaten. Yeah. So FC broke the unbeaten record in the league. I think this is the second defeat in the season in the league this season for Ulinzi. Yeah. So him coming and inflicting that defeat on a team like Ulinzi, a very physical team, very organized, tells you a lot about Rupia. And in addition to that, Toskin, you understand, coming to a team like Gor Mahia and FC right now, as a striker, you are just coming, you are like on honeymoon, because the supply is there.
The supply is there.
That is why Makwata flourished at FC Leopards. There was a lot of supply. The youngsters like Austin Odhiambo, who is doing a lot of wonders. On the flank, there's Obura. And the other flank, there's Geoffrey Awita, there's Hansel, and the likes of Mohehe. They're all giving that supply. So it's all about you as a striker to position yourself and hit the ball back into the net. And that's where I believe. So
we are likely to see a flourishing Rupia. Because at Wazito, he didn't hit the heights that we expected him. Because when he was at, that was Viga?
No, it was at Nzoia.
At Nzoia, he was actually the main man.
Yeah, he was.
But his stay at Wazito, you can't really say that it was the best. Though he scored quite a number of goals. I think by the time he left, he scored about 6.
6 goals, yeah. But now, coming at FC, this is the time for him to revive his career and prove his critic strong, Same to now Lavazza. Lavazza has also moved to Gor Mahia.
Yes.
Yeah, that is another interesting move that happened in the just concluded transfer window, Lavazza was in Gor Mahia, I think, was it 2013? Also, that is when he made his debut in KPL directly from Upper Hill. Yeah, he's a guy who also shown a lot of potential during those days, but unfortunately, just like Kiongera, he's a journeyman. He has moved a lot of clubs. He went to Algeria, he came back to Bandari, and I think Bandari and which club in between. Yeah, and then he went to Kakamega Homeboys, back to Gor Mahia. This is another opportunity for him also to revive or rather reboot his career.
I've never doubted Gor Mahia in their transfer dealings, and you've seen the way they've brought in Juma Balinya from Uganda, comes in, scores 2 goals in his full game for Gor Mahia. But taking Lavasa back, is that a gamble?
Just like the previous deals, you remember Gor Mahia has been a club that ready to welcome its former players. Yeah, the likes of Jojo Odhiambo, the likes of
including
Kevin Omondi.
Including the captain himself, Kenneth Muguna. Gone, then he went back.
Exactly. You see, it is a club that gives its former players a chance to revive to their careers. And fortunately, most of these players have come in and proved it. So it is a chance for Lavasa. I believe he'll again get back to his former best.
For FC Leopards, how much of a loss is the transfer of Makwata to Zesco?
Initially, it was a huge one. And in terms of cash, because going by the chairman's words, he said that they gained nothing from a quarter's move. I don't know how
this is a financial loss.
Financial loss. It's a financial loss.
That's off the pitch.
Off the pitch. Because off the pitch already, they've already gotten a replacement. And you know, Leopards is a team in transition, is a building team. Yeah. So for his replacement, there'll be more pressure on his replacement, that is Rupia, because he'll be trying also to get into the team as they try to see if they can finish in a better position in the league.
But FC Leopards, should they have held on Makwata?
How can you hold on somebody you haven't paid for like 5 months? Yeah? As per FIFA rules, he is already a free agent, so there's nothing you can do. It's either you agree to let him go for free to another club or negotiate with that club at least to give you something that is maybe on a personal level. It's not a must that the club must pay you. So there's no way they could have held on Makwata. It was time for him maybe to move. Yeah, and his performances couldn't have allowed him to stay at Leopards.
He was practically on fire. By the time he was leaving, he had scored 13 goals.
13 goals.
To be the top scorer in the league. But then we hope that he will take the same kind of form to Zambia, where he's now joined, that is Zesco United. We wish him all the best. And of course, if he decides to come back to FC Leopards, I hope they will be like Gor Mahia to take him back. Yeah? But then, who else made the best move that you thought caught the heads of everyone in the league?
I had also done a story about this youngster called, the Ugandan youngster called Matthew Odongo.
Yes.
Yeah, and Michael Odor. All of them were at Wazito. Apparently, they also failed to live up to the billing and they were offloaded. So for Odongo, he has gone at Zoo. Yeah. And Odor has gone at Sharks. Yeah, so this is another moment for them. At least to reboot their careers and get back into the limelight. Quickly,
one of the news items that we have in the Standard newspaper is that FKF is to unveil the electoral board. Remember, we FKF are in the middle of electioneering period, but then it is mired in controversy. The sports CS Amina Mohammed has really got a lot of support in the way she wants the elections to be conducted. Quickly, what do you think about the unveiling of the board, and do you think they will achieve what they are supposed to do?
Short and clear, let FKF deliver the election to people. We want the Kenyan football to progress. We don't want it to retrogress. We have come so far, yeah, whereby we don't want to be found in this quagmire again. Because, Toskin, in the coming month, we are going to have the African Cup of Nations qualifiers. And if this situation persists, it's going to affect the national team performance. We can't lie ourselves about that. They are going to host Comoros next month here. So it's for us to ensure that this process is done and in a proper way.
Yeah, because Waziri has said that at least by 30th of March, we should have, completed the whole process. Do you think it's achievable with all these shenanigans going on within FKF?
It is a tricky situation, very tricky and very complex. I don't know how we are going to do that. With all these behind-the-scene issues, yeah, I don't know. But if we can put our act together and leave all those egos and try to put Kenyans in front of us, definitely we can achieve this.
Yes, the Football Kenya Federation is preparing to unveil the electoral board at 12 p.m. Today, that is at Kandanda House. And we just hope that the process will just kickstart. And remember, there's a lot in the plate of the sports CS, that is Ambassador Amina Mohamed. She has to prepare for the country for the World Athletics Continental Tour on May 2nd that Nairobi will be hosting. There's also the World Under-20 Championship. There's the Olympics, coming her way. And she will be, tasked to make sure that she delivers all that. But then the country cannot afford the kind of mess that we are seeing at FKF. It's time for them to respect their constitution and also make sure that they deliver that election for the people of Kenya so that the game of football can move ahead. I've been talking to Rogers Eshtemi, one of our senior reporters on the sports desk, and now I would like to hand it over back to Trixie Ngaro and Michael Gitonga to continue with the rest of the program.
Thank you very much, Robin Toskin, for the indulgence.